Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Synergy Flavors Trendcast. I'm Alex Masumoto. I'm a marketing specialist at Synergy Flavors in the US. In this very special episode, as we are approaching the end of 2021, we invited our own market experts from different parts of the world to discuss what are the traditions within food and beverage in their own region, and also hopefully we can explore some of the new trends that they have spotted or they are seeing in their own regions again that they can inspire us for innovation and new product development over the next few years. I'd like them to introduce themselves, starting with Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm based in the UK and I'm a sales and marketing executive.
Hi, I'm Chris Whiting. I'm category manager for Synergy UK.
Hi, I'm Gabriela. I'm from Synergy Brazil. I'm analyst of marketing.
Hi, I'm Marco. I'm sales representative for Synergy Italy, and I'm in charge of Southern Europe.
Hello, I'm Erin Inventor. I am from Synergy United States, and I am the Consumer and Market Insights Manager.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining in. We're very excited to kick this off. This is our second episode. We did one very similar in 2020 where we uncovered what was happening at the time. Very difficult year in 2020 where the pandemic started. So hopefully we have some more innovation this year and something more, a lot excited to share with our audience. But let's start with you, Olivia. Can you share with us some of the traditions that you're seeing, that you guys usually see in the UK in food and beverage, and what those are?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Alex. So I'm going to cover the UK trends in terms of sweet flavors and desserts. In the UK, especially Christmas, it's a time for luxury and indulgence. And with a challenging couple of years, like you said, Alex, consumers are looking for a touch of luxury as like a treat and a comfort. And brands and retailers can really respond to this by upping the indulgence factor, using rich, decadent flavors, a combination of textures, all wrapped up in luxury festive packaging. This year in particular, we've seen retailers really up the factor by some showstopper desserts. And this is really in response to a growth in consumers saying that they're willing to pay more for showstopper desserts to share with their friends and families. Moving on to childhood reinvented, nostalgia has played a big part in all of the trends in the last few years and different seasons, and Christmas is no exception, with childhood classic festive desserts being reinvented into new flavour combinations and new formats. An example, we've got UK's favourite Christmas dessert, the mince pie, combined into a cheesecake. And there's a couple of others on the slide to show you what we've been seeing. To summarise the sweet flavours from the UK that have been trending this year in particular, we've got a lot of brown flavours, caramels, toffee, fudges, and we're seeing that these are being combined with chocolate flavours, such as like the blondie caramel, which is like a caramel chocolate flavour. And we're seeing the combination in products really to up the indulgence factor. And then we've had a handful of nostalgic flavours that have been trending this year, in particular gingerbread, we've got black forest and mint flavours. And I've also spotlighted plant-based because plant-based launches are more prevalent at seasonal times of the year compared to standard. And retailers and brands have really been competing to attract the attention of curious consumers that are choosing plant-based at Christmas time. And this is shown through the festive launches this year. Retailers aren't just launching one or two products for plant-based consumers. We're seeing a whole range of products. And now for Chris to cover the savoury side of things.
Thanks, Olivia. Yeah, so I think we're seeing a lot of really similar trends on the savoury side of things in the UK, certainly. So a very big push for premium. I think we've all had a year where we feel like we want a bit of a treat as we get to the end of it. And it was a very similar scenario last year. In the UK, shoppers spent 5% more on food in the 3 months running up to December 2020, which was an all-time record. So I think that's something we're going to see continue this year. If we look at retailer level, Sainsbury's reported an 11% increase on their Taste the Difference range, which is their premium range around Christmas time, versus the year before. So I definitely think we're going to see that premium side of things continue to grow in 2021. And certainly from a launch perspective, we're seeing launches reflect that. At the same time, as Olivia touched on as well, we're seeing a much bigger increase in activity around plant-based. Typically, I think in years gone by, we might see people, as they get into January, around Veganuary, they take up more of a plant-based diet. We're actually seeing people do that a bit more in December and having more vegan-themed Christmas meals. So you can see that over the last few years, the number of meat alternative launches in Q4 has increased pretty steadily. We saw a slight drop off last year versus 2019, but it's still much higher than where it was 2 or 3 years ago. In the US, I think this is really interesting data from Just Eat, but 70% of American millennials are planning to host a plant-based holiday event this year. So there's a real interest in plant-based around Christmas and around the festive period this year. In terms of flavor trends, we find that on Christmas Day itself, people tend to be pretty traditional. They don't tend to push the boat out too far. So we see a lot of the classic flavors, but maybe done in a slightly more premium way. So, for instance, there's this Asda extra special glazed British turkey parcel with sort of pork, cranberry, and blood orange stuffing. So not pushing the boat out too much in flavors, but very, very premium sounding. On the flip side, there's a bit more opportunity to be a bit more experimental around the occasions at sort of either side of Christmas. So be that Christmas Eve or Boxing Day or New Year's Eve. And that's when we see flavors get a bit more innovative. So we're seeing a lot of inspiration being drawn from Asian regions, particularly Vietnam, Korea, Japan, and also from quite a few of the Latin American regions, particularly Mexico, which has been very on trend in a lot of the party food and snacking products. Perfect. And now over to Brazil for a bit of an insight in what's happening over there.
Let's talk about Panettone. Panettone is the most popular holiday product among Brazilians. Brazilians are passionate about Panettone and expected to sell in Brazil more than 1,000 tons of Panettone in 2021. And we see that this year they are following the indulgence appeal. And on the other hand, this appeal also present in health concessions with focus in health nutrition. There are something interesting to note that behavior Brazilian consumers in this season of the year, they allow themselves. They eat without guilt. And the main launches in Brazil are filling in toppings with these flavors. We have cupuaçu. Cupuaçu is an Amazonia fruit with a sour flavor. Another flavor present in the Panettone launches is pistachio. Brazilians consider pistachio a rich ingredient. We have banoffee too. Banoffee, it's very popular flavor in Brazil. And the classic flavor, we have dulce de leite and chocolate. And we have a special case with co-brand between Casa Suíça and Paçoquita. They joined together to create a more indulgent product with Paçoquita flavor. Paçoquita is like a peanut candy. It's very appreciated by children, and many adults are still fans of this flavor, paçoca. And another very innovative flavor launched this year was carrot cake. Carrot cake is a very traditional flavor of homemade cake in Brazil. That cake made by grandma, So we have this innovative flavor. And on the indulgent trends with health appeal, Panettone launches contain claims like no sugar, no low carb, high fiber, and lactose free. And we have some flavors like 70 cocoa dark, that means less sugar. And we have another example, it's a vegan Panettone vegan. It's the Vegatone. By the way, I love this name with cranberry and Brazil nuts. And we have another example with Mundo Verde brand with like Panettone with dried fruit and no sugar. And we have other flavors like whole wheat with chocolate and candied fruit and almonds, both lactose-free and high fiber. And other important launches now in beverage category was Baden-Baden. Baden-Baden is one of the pioneers in productions of craft beer in Brazil. They are super innovating flavors and combinations. And this year, they present a Baden-Baden Christmas, a special and limited edition, a beer with banana and clove aroma. According to the brand, this flavor paired very well with roasted turkey or tender soft cheeses and panettone with dried fruit. And finally, I present a special beverage portfolio that Starbucks launched in Brazil last week. So it's very fresh. Our flavors that evoke the cozy and familiar feelings of Christmas. They are selling the triple brigadeiro. Is a special flavor to celebrate anniversary the Starbucks in Brazil. Another flavor is strawberry and mocha. And the best selling flavor in Brazil is caramel hazelnut. And the brand also have also selling two flavors of coffee, the Christmas blend with roasted grams with herbal, spicy, and chocolate notes. And Christmas blonde roasted is another coffee with combination of 3 grams and citrus fruit notes and fig nuances.
Marco, we know Gabriella just talked about Panettone, and we know being originally from Italy, what is the situation like of this big product around holiday season in there?
Yes, Alex, I will also talk about Panettone. As you know, it's really popular in Italy, but I've been traveling through Southern Europe in the past 2 months, and I've seen from Spain to Greece, Panettone everywhere in the grocery stores. And if you look at the graphic, actually in the past 10 years, Panettone new product launches have been increasing a lot. And I've seen lots of new flavors, not like in Brazil, but I've seen the Prosecco Panettone, which is actually good because it's pairing the most popular Italian wine with the most popular sweet bread, Italian sweet bread. We have also, I found also salted caramel Panettone, which is interesting. Pear and chocolate Panettone, and pistachio. Of course, pistachio is getting really popular everywhere in Brazil. Also, we've seen. And these are the trendy flavors for this year, I think. And I found also some options for vegan people and some gluten-free solutions, which are really interesting. So basically, these panettone are not made are dairy-free. So dairy-free butter. There are no eggs, but they use instead alternative flours and alternative milk drinks like almond drinks, or for example, instead of butter, they use cocoa butter. So there is panettone for everyone, I think.
Thanks, Marco. Mary, I know one thing that I've noticed in the US is that every once in a while, kind of the main dish changes over the years. Besides, like it's like a new way to create, a new way to create the same original stuff that has been within the holiday season for years. Can you walk us through what that evolution has been in the US?
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. So, like you said, it seems like things kind of shift every year. So we thought it'd be interesting to take a look at the flavors that have been like very popular in the US through the years, kind of to see where we've come or where we've been to better understand where we're going. So first we see in 1940s, that was really the rise of the plum pudding, where that became extremely popular. and was on every table for the Christmas holiday season. And we have seen that that's not quite as popular anymore, but definitely something that was there. In the 50s, we saw the Spritz cookies coming to the United States. So these really were popular in Germany before and have been popular in Germany for years. But with the ability of being able to make cookie cutters that made it easier to make the Spritz cookies, they really became a lot more popular in the US because they were just easier and more able to make them. In the 60s, we really saw more savory treats kind of gracing the table. So a lot more different types of appetizers and different types of food that consumers were interested in. And this kind of continued into the 70s, where we really saw the rise of the cocktail meatball, where that just is something that became really popular. Consumers were having it as an app or whatever with their meal, and continue. That's one that's continued. In the 80s, we saw the rise of the log cake, and this was something that Cool Whip actually did a lot of advertising around, so helped kind of to bring that one to market and make that one rise in popularity. In the 90s, we saw Christmas fudge, which who doesn't love fudge? So it just really became more mainstream, and people were decorating it to really show the Christmas spirit, and making it for friends, for families, and sharing it with everybody. In the early 2000s, we saw the snickerdoodles. So that cinnamon sugar cookie with the cinnamon sugar really rising in popularity. And then in the 2010s, we saw the macaroon, such a delicate, beautiful cookie, really rising to popularity and rising in so many different flavors and different colors. So just a beautiful way to help celebrate the holidays. So thinking through kind of what we've seen in the holidays, we wanted to look at really what does the holiday celebration look like in 2021? As Alex mentioned earlier, 2020 was a really hard year for everybody. So definitely saw holiday traditions start to shift last year, and wanted to better understand where they're going this year. So this year we're seeing that 92% of consumers are planning on celebrating Christmas. So almost a lot of consumers are going to be celebrating. However, we do see that 53% say that their gathering will be the same size as it was in 2020. So over half of consumers are sticking to kind of those smaller groups with everything that's been happening with COVID lately. Seeing that kind of be similar. And then we're also seeing that 29% of consumers are planning to get at least part, if not all of their meal from a restaurant. So people kind of moving back to getting food catered and looking to restaurants for that help. So here is just looking at kind of what are some of those key holiday flavors. And I think Chris mentioned this when he was talking, just that around Christmas, consumers do kind of tend to stick with some of those more traditional flavors that they know. They branch out too, but we always see some of these key traditional flavors every single year. And the first one, candy canes or peppermint. It's really about the peppermint and the mint, and we see that every year. Cinnamon is also another flavor with that warm, bright flavor. It just helps people kind of feel cozy when it's colder outside. Cranberries are definitely another one with their bright color and bright flavor. They fit right in with the holiday. Eggnog. This is one that we see only available at Christmas time or during the winter season. So it's definitely a flavor of the season and something that consumers are loving and looking for when it's available. We also see gingerbread, we see pumpkin pie, and then we see roasted chestnut as well as those key flavors. And so we've seen, like I mentioned, those are kind of the traditional flavors, but we're also seeing that manufacturers are really trying to have keep those flavors and make them new every year. So they're really kind of coming out with new products that add a twist to that classic. So it keeps getting reinvented and is something that consumers love. So with the peppermint, we see a white chocolate peppermint creamer for coffee. So yummy and interesting way to do that. We see a vanilla cinnamon tea that that's very popular. Dunkin' Donuts is making a cranberry orange muffin for consumers. We're also seeing eggnog come to consumers in a different way. So it's not just necessarily a beverage. We're also seeing it in candy form too, with this Ghirardelli eggnog chocolate square. And gingerbread. Gingerbread is kind of everywhere at the moment. And we even see that with these cute Oreo products that have the gingerbread flavor, and like they have the, look at the gingerbread house on the packaging, really nostalgic and really kind of taking you back to what you did as a child. And then we're seeing pumpkin spice, yogurt covered pretzels. So something very different from the pumpkin pie, but still bringing that pumpkin spice flavor to everybody. And then Starbucks has a chestnut praline latte this year. So really bringing that chestnut flavor through, but in a new and unique way for consumers.
Thanks, Erin, and thank you all. I always enjoyed this episode, and again, it's the second time that we've done a roll. So, just by the fact that we learned so much of what's happening, in other parts of the world, and again, I like to remind that the goal with the Trendcast is always to inspire us for, new product development, new flavors, innovation overall. So if you have any questions about, some of the things that we showed here today for the holiday season, please reach out to our experts through our website, synergytaste.com. And also there you can find all the episodes that we had, in the Trendcast over 2021. And as the last episode of this season of 2021, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. And hopefully in 2022, we'll have a lot more to discuss within food and beverage and flavors and innovation. So I'm excited. And, again, as the last episode of 2021, we wish you a happy holidays, and I'll see you next year. Thanks, everybody.